afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 Her Story Writers Network Freedom Forum. This is the part where you say, Yay! So, my name is Belinda Casiblanco, and I am honored to be hosting this event alongside Mimi Pierre. Yay, Mimi! So, this year, teams hang across our communities, hear us stories for our times, invite us to reflect on the power of storytelling to connect us and lift the voices of those who often go unheard. Buenas tardes a todos y bienvenidos al Foro de la Libertad de Her Story Writers Network 2024. Mi nombre es Belinda Casiblanco y me honra estar presentando este evento junto a Mimi Pierre. El tema de este año, Manos Unidas a través de nuestras comunidades, historias de héroes para nuestros tiempos, nos invita a reflexionar sobre el poder de la narración para conectarnos y elevar las voces de aquellos que a menudo no son escuchados.
Bon après-midi tout le monde. Bienvenue dans Her Story Writing Network Freedom Forum 2024. Nom c'est Mimi Pierre Johnson et c'est un honneur pour faire programme ça ensemble avec Belinda Casiblanco.
Yeah, Belinda!
Thème là, c'est main à travers communauté noire, histoire héros dans tout dans nous-mêmes. Et moi inviter nous toutes pour réfléchir sur pouvoir rencontrer histoire pour connecter nous et puis lever voix nous moun qui souvent nous pas attendait yo. That was Creole, by the way.
So, why are we doing this? Well, in every community, some heroes fight for justice, inclusion, and dignity. Their stories serve as a beacon of hope, guiding us through the challenges of today. Together, we are building bridges across cultures, experiences, and histories, celebrating the courage of those who strive to create a more compassionate and equitable world. En cada comunidad hay héroes que luchan por la justicia, la inclusión y la dignidad. Sus historias sirven como un faro de esperanza, guiándonos a través de los desafíos de hoy. Juntos estamos construyendo puentes entre culturas, experiencias e historias, celebrando el valor de quienes se esfuerzan por crear un mundo más compasivo y equitativo.
Dans chaque communauté, il y a un héros qui gourmet pour justice, inclusion et dignité. Histoire yo servi comme une lumière pour espoir qui guide nous à travers défis jodia. Ensemble, nous bâti pour à travers culture, expression et histoire célébrer tout courage moun qui fait effort pour créer un monde qui pi compassion et équitable.
We hope today's forum will inspire you to listen deeply, share openly, and carry these stories into your communities. Thank you for being here today. Let's honor our heroes by giving them the spotlight they deserve. Esperamos que el foro de hoy les inspire a escuchar con atención, compartir con sinceridad y llevar estas historias a sus comunidades. Gracias por estar aquí hoy. A nuestros héroes les damos las gracias también y les vamos a dar el lugar que merecen.
Nous espérons forum jodia a inspiré pour écouter profondément, partager ouvertement et puis porter histoire ça yo dans communauté. Merci parce que ou la jodia en honorer héros nous yo les nous ba yo documentation yo mérité.
And this is the part where you all clap again. Yay!
Yay! Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah,
we're
blah,
ready
blah,
to begin. And we are clapping because we are so excited to begin. We're going to do it by introducing our first reader, Mr. Chema Sharais, who is a Her Story Beyond Bars Fellow from the Time Out of Joint, an organization of formerly incarcerated teachers. Y ahora, para comenzar, presentamos a Chema Sharais, becario de Her Story Beyond Bars. The Time Out of Joint, una organización de maestros anteriormente encarcelados.
Et puis, Kounia, nous allons commencer. On a présenté Shama Shariz, Her Story Beyond Bars Fellow, qui sorti dans Time Out of Joint, une organisation ancien professeur qui dans prison.
Okay, yay!
Yay! Plap, 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 plap.
Yeah, there you are! You got us worried for a moment. There you are.
Good afternoon. Peace, peace. How's everybody doing? That's right. Let me get some energy. How's everybody doing? That's what I'm talking about. If my words had the power, my fallen comrades will be standing here right now at this hour. Malcolm, Marley, Frederick, Newton. We shall overcome. If my words had the power, I would make sense to the senseless, turn down the tension in war, increase compassion until people no longer want to fight. If my words had the power, people would no longer want to fight. Embrace my enemy until he's a friend of me, so people no longer want to fight. Open the minds of adults. Tell them to reconnect with their childhoods. Save the babies. Not just my babies, but your babies and your babies. Let's save all babies. Babies are little people. Let's save all people. I dare people to make this conversation a sequel. Lay down your biasness. See how much we are equal. If my words had the power, my daughter's singing voice will plug the barrels of pistols. No more senseless violence. Those bullets won't hit you. If my words had the power, I would dare you to be the rare you. Raise your voices to make the right choices. And I dare you. Just pause for a moment. Think about the moment. You didn't take a moment. Actions without thought. I dare you to be different. I dare you to care. People will judge you. Ignore all the stares. I dare you to search. I dare you to grow. To learn new things. Forget what you know. I dare you to love. Use your strength and climb. Appreciate the beauty that's hidden in the mind. I dare my sons to outshine the sun. I dare my wife to stay the prettiest face in my life. I dare my family continue to support those who support the ending of illegal incarceration, illegal drugs, global warming, starvation, hateful speech, those who support education, housing for all, food for all, medical care for all. I dare my family to continue to support those who support a cure for cancer, cure for diabetes, cure for Parkinson's, cure for Alzheimer's, cure for HIV, cure for STDs, mental illness, paralysis. I dare you to go forward. Give your ambitions your all.
Wow, that gives the word there a different meaning, right? You give it a strength. And now we will have our Her Story Social Justice Fellows picking up the incantation, If Your Words Had the Power, with which we begin every Her Story workshop. Y ahora nuestras becarias de Her Story por la Justicia Social continuarán con la invocación Si tus palabras tuvieran poder, con la que comenzamos cada taller de Her Story. Okay, fellows, it's time to shine. Yay!
Si mis palabras tuvieran poder, quisiera traer lenguaje positivo a toda la gente alrededor mío y todo aquel que lo necesitara. Creo firmemente que las palabras tienen poderes sanadores y enriquecedores y que cuando son usadas constructivamente pueden ser de aliento y a veces inspiración en personas que están pasando por momentos difíciles o quizás no saben ni qué camino tomar. If my word had power, I would like to bring positive language to everyone around me and those who needed it. I firmly believe that words have healing and enriching powers, and when they are used in a good way, they can be a source of encouragement and sometimes inspirations for people who are going through difficult times or perhaps don't even know which path to take.
Si mon mwen te gen pouvoi, mwen tap plede pou yon sosyete kote tap gen sekurite avek egalite pou tout moun. Men tap travay pou mwen mette sous pied yon monde kote chak moun, kelke swa jan, ras, seksualite, religion ou bien klas sosyal, proteje kontre est capable de vivre sans la paix et sans préjudice. If my words had the power, I would advocate for a society where safety and equality are universal. I would work towards building a world where individuals, regardless of their race, gender, sexuality, religion, or class, are protected from discrimination and can live without fear of prejudice.
If my words had the power to change hearts, minds, and policies, I would make it so that everyone felt connected to their intuitive voice and acted from a place in their hearts where they believe themselves to be artists, to be able to see the unseen, to create worlds and cultures that do not yet exist. And that our governments, too, valued art as a way of expression, a way to resolve conflict, and provide equitable solutions, promote more compassionate action, especially for our young people and families who are underserved, especially for our LGBTQ youth and families, spreading far and wide across the globe, that all beings, without exception, feel loved and love freely.
Si mis palabras tuvieran poder, animaría a las personas a que se amen y se respeten mutuamente, sin importar la edad, el color de la piel, el lenguaje que hablan, su sexualidad o cualquier otra cualidades que nos hacen diferente el uno al otro. If my words had the power, I would encourage everyone to love and respect one another, no matter your age, color of your skin, the language you speak, or your sexuality, or any other quality that makes you different from each other but makes you unique.
If my words had the power, I would want them to facilitate change, enhancement, and improvement. I'd want anyone going through hardships or obstacles to know that where you are is not where you stay, what you go through isn't what you need to deal with, and that falling is okay, but be sure to stand up at some point because going forward is what you need to do in order to improve and change your life, and that anybody can be living any version of a life. It's just a matter of working towards getting there. So thank you.
Wow, let's give them another chant. When you go to a party in the Haitian community, the bands like to say plop, 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 plop. Let me hear y'all. Plop, 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 plop. That was amazing. You know, one of the things that we talk about all the time in Her Story is about if your word had power. And that's what you just heard just now. So, we want you to imagine, right? If your word had power, what would you do? So sit back, right? Sit back. And meanwhile, next time we may just ask the audience if your word had power, right? Flap, 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 flap. Come on.
Yeah, what would you say then if they ask you, if we ask you that we might do that later? Okay, now I'm so excited to introduce Mother Warriors, a heartfelt and inspiring college created by three amazing women, Latasha Johnson Lowe, Erica Hawkins, and Ashley Handa. Yay, ladies! Yeah. This piece combines personal stories and dance, highlighting the strength and love that mothers show even through the most challenging times. These three fellows have dedicated themselves to their communities and growth. And I have enjoyed working with them this past year. They are amazing. They are innovative, caring women who are passionate about making a difference. So this afternoon, we'll also enjoy a special dance by Ashley and her sister later on, which will add even more emotion to this beautiful performance that you are about to witness. So get ready to be moved by the stories of these mother warriors who have turned their challenges into powerful messages of love, resilience, and strength. And to summarize, estoy muy emocionada de presentar a Madres Guerreras, una inspiradora obra creada por Latasha, Erika y Ashley, que combina historias personales y danza, destacando la fuerza del amor de las madres en tiempos difíciles. Esta tarde también disfrutaremos de un baile especial por Ashley y su hermana, que estamos seguras añadirá una emoción más a esta hermosa presentación. So, yeah, ladies, ready for you.
When the overwhelming darkness and sound of nothingness filled my bedroom and I could take it no more, I would tiptoe into my mother's bedroom. Mommy, I can't sleep. I'm scared. My mom swept one side of her blanket up and invited me under the covers and into her bed. Her room was comforting, her bed was warm, and her pillows were soft. The radio was playing on a low volume on the nightstand. Listening to the soothing sound of the harmonica being played over the radio in the song That's What Friends Are For by Dionne Warwick put me to sleep.
I wake up in bed in Hanover, a beautiful country town in my tropical paradise. I am only 9 years old. I love to wake up to the smell of breakfast that I knew my mom had ready for us every Saturday morning. The air is filled with the lively rhythms of Jamaican gospel music, and the streets are colorful with ripe mango trees. After breakfast, my mom tells me to pack my luggage. Are we going on vacation? I said. Did she pack my brother's luggage already? Oh well, so I'll keep packing and I'll bring my best clothes and toys. My dad arrives home from work and we hop in the car and we head to the airport. I was so excited the whole hour drive and started guessing all the places we would go as a family. We arrive at Montego Bay Airport and it's busy with cars and vans. All I hear is the honking of cars and rolling wheels of luggage. My mom lets me know it's time for me to go. Me? We aren't all going on vacation, Mom? No, she says, you're going to Atlanta to live with your aunt.
Tasha, what's wrong? Within seconds, I began to cry uncontrollably as she embraced me. She looked up at me as tears streamed down my cheek and my body went limp. She said, Tasha, again, what's wrong? And before I could answer, she said, are you pregnant? I was so scared and still crying uncontrollably. All I can do was nod my head in the motion of yes, as my mother held me tight and rocked me back and forth. It was only within a few minutes, but it felt like an hour. As she released me, I was afraid to look at her because I didn't want to see the disappointment in her eyes, so I kept my eyes closed longer than normal.
But today, like yesterday, Mom is not communicating. Her words were, if you cannot respect my rules, you have to leave. In my mind, I did what I was supposed to. At least I did what I thought I was supposed to do. No one handed me a blueprint or told me what I should do. Mom did not like me questioning her, but how does an 18-year-old navigate this world without understanding the meaning of it all? All I could hear was, "Erica, get out." Where was the mother that protected me and made me feel safe in her bed each night? She was gone, so I left home. I was on my own. I was no longer under the blanket of protection as I once was in my mother's warm, cozy bed. What caused the switch to get cut off? Was it because I was no longer deserving of her protection? Or was it because my sister was now pregnant and was going to bring a new life into the world to take my place?
Damn, I'm pregnant. I do not feel like going to school, so I'm going to lie in bed until I feel better. One by one, I could hear everyone leave the house based on the front door slamming after they exited. As the house got quiet, I climbed out of bed to make my way to the bathroom. As I opened my bedroom door, my mother stood in front of the door as if she was about to enter my room. I jumped back, not expecting to see her. Wiping my eyes clean to gauge her face, here stood a 5'1" brown-skinned petite lady staring at me. Slap across my face. Punch. "Mommy, stopped," I yelled as I began to cry, and she continued to hit me. And I can hear her say, "Who's going to take care of a damn baby? I can barely take care of you all."
We arrive in Jamaica for our family reunion, and my mother is showing me the block she grew up on when she was that happy 9-year-old girl. She recalls all the good memories she had with her siblings and cousins. "Do you wish you stayed in Jamaica, Mom?" She replies, "If you asked my younger self, I would have said yes, but I only understood the sacrifice my mother made for me when I had you. I only now understand that my mom wanted better opportunities for me in the States. Even though I experienced many hardships in Atlanta, it made me the strong woman and mother I am today. In that moment, I held my mom tight and knew I am who I am because of the sacrifices she made for me."
Rhea, go get your shoes so we can go for a walk. Bring them here. I'll put them on for you. "Mommy, I got it. I can do it," she said. "Okay, here. Let me tie your shoes," I said. "Mommy, I don't need your help. I know how to tie my laces now." As I watched her struggle to put each shoe on and then tie them, my eyes watered. "See, Mommy, I did it," she said as she jumped down from the chair. She began to run, and suddenly she fell with one shoe at her side. She began to cry while holding her knee. "Come here, let me see," I said as I looked her over to make sure she was okay. "I'm sorry you fell, baby. We just need to make sure we tighten your shoes a little more." This time, she allowed me to put her shoes back on and tie the laces without protest. "Thank you, Mommy," she said. "You're welcome," I said. "Just remember, don't be afraid to try. Even if you fall, Mommy will always be here to help you get back up."
Dear Tashina, in these 9 months of carrying you, I have endured so much, just for this moment to meet you. As I look down at those big, bold brown eyes, that caramel complexion, and that newborn baby smell, all I can do is count your fingers and toes and make a pact with God to do right by you. Because this journey with you and me won't be easy. I don't have much to offer you because I'm a teenage mom besides love, and I pray that that's enough for now. I promise to love you even when you are wrong, to support you when you need me the most, and never turn my back on you as everyone has done me, and to stick beside you no matter what. Hopefully, you will be proud of me as I am proud of you at this very moment when I will forever call you my daughter. Our mission statement as Mother Warrior Group is to
empower, support mothers who have faced and overcome the obstacles life has placed in their path. We are dedicated to creating a community where every mother's strength, resilience, and courage are celebrated, and our shared experiences become a source of healing, growth, and inspiration.
Together, we stand as a testament to the power of motherhood, committed to uplifting one another and advocating for the well-being of our families while turning our stories of struggle into triumphs of love and determination.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. The silence is it.
Thank you, ladies. You did a great job. I'm so proud of you. We are thrilled to introduce my dear Kaylee Broswell, a talented student from Wantage High School. Kaylan was featured reader of the Wantage Health Center's Black History Month celebration, where she shared her powerful piece, Now Rise. In Now Rise, Kaylin's voice shines through as she speaks to the strength and resilience of overcoming struggles. Her words convey hope and empowerment that resonates deeply, especially for young people navigating their paths. So prepare to be moved by the passion and insight she brings to her work. En la siguiente historia llamada Todos de pie, la voz de Kaylin destaca al hablar sobre la fuerza y resiliencia para superar dificultades. Sus palabras transmiten esperanza y empoderamiento, razonando profundamente, especialmente entre los jóvenes que buscan su camino. So with you, I give you Kaylin.
Some people think that a foster child will never find a home that will fit them, especially with a foster child who has a disability. Foster children think that they will never find a home that makes them feel welcome, especially the ones that don't get to go back to the original home. In this story, this little girl's life turns around, and now she is doing amazing things. When Kayla walked into the courtroom, she was feeling mixed emotions. She was wondering if someone was going to jail, thinking that courtrooms were used only for people who went to jail. As she walked towards the bench, she felt nervous and scared. When she got to the bench, she sat down, and the bailiff said, "All rise, the judge is coming." So she stood up. The judge came into the courtroom. He was a big, tall, white man. He was wearing something black. Kayla thought he was wearing a nightgown. She didn't know what he was going to do, and there were a lot of cops surrounding him, so it made her feel that something bad was going to happen. She got anxious and felt the urge to hold someone's hand, so she turned around to look for her mother, but her mom wasn't there. Kayla felt sad and angry that her mom wasn't around. Her mind was racing with inner thoughts like, why is she not trying to fight for me? Is this my fault that my life is like this? What did I do wrong? I'm sorry. What's going on? Please don't let me go. I want another chance, please. She felt the urge to scream. at the world, but it felt like someone tied a knot in her throat, and her voice was taken. There was, there was a voice in her head saying, "I'm scared. I want to go home. Please let me go." Kayla wanted to cry, but tried to show that she was brave and would accept anything, even though even though she was hurting inside. Her thoughts were interrupted by the judge's deep voice. Deep voices have always scared her. He was saying on this day, October the 12th of August, 2016, Kayla's mother signed these papers to allow the foster parents to be Kayla's legal guardian. This is approved. Then he stamped the paper. Her heart started racing. She knew that someday she might find a home, but this came too quickly. She had mixed emotions. A part of her felt happy that she would finally have a stable home and a stable school, people she could trust, and new friends to play with. Yet another part felt angry because her mom had willingly given her up and didn't give her a chance. Kayla felt neglected and abandoned by the person who said she loved her the most. Kayla was very young and so she didn't remember. She heard stories of her crying for her bottle. She heard stories that her mom was not in the right state of mind to take care of her kids. She heard that there were a lot of bad things going on in the home, and they were going hungry. The judge did something that he had never done before in history. He came down from the bench and started walking towards Kayla. Kayla immediately felt anxious and wondered why was the judge walking towards her. Was he going to take her away? But the judge put his arms around Kayla and said, "A long time ago, I was in the streets. A family brought me into their home and adopted me. This changed my life. It didn't turn out so bad." Yes, Kayla understood what he was saying, but she felt that this was not going to happen to her because her life was different and it wasn't going to turn out that way. She didn't remember. She wasn't ready. She felt like her life was running a marathon but not catching up. Kayla wasn't ready to say goodbye to her mom. Kayla did not want to let go of that hope that she was holding on to for a long time. Being with her mom and having an actual family, even if it wasn't perfect. Now she had to let go of her dream and accept what was going on. Kayla left the courtroom with her new parents, and as they drove off, Kayla looked at her new mom and said, "I can't believe that I got adopted and I'm actually going to have a home." Her mom just smiled. On the road, Kayla was looking outside, admiring the scenery, and listening to her music when she started to feel different. She began to accept what was going on. She felt that if she gave it a chance, it might not be as bad. However, she still had that sick feeling inside her stomach. She felt that she disowned her mom because of the choice that she made. But Kayla learned her choices are her choices, and what she chooses is going to be on Kayla and no one else. One day, Kayla came home from school feeling sad. Her new mom noticed it and asked her what was wrong. Kayla told her that she had a bad day in school, and her mom then gave her a big hug and said these words that she will always remember. "You are special because you have 4 parents who love you deeply, your biological and your new ones. You belong because you will always be a part of this family. You are beloved because God chose you to be a part of this family. He knew that this family would help you find something special, your special calling that God put in your life." These words changed her life forever. If I had the power to change everything, my power is to have people for kids to understand and learn that whatever happens, whatever goes on in their life, whatever mistakes that their parents made, whatever they have been going through, is just a child tribulation that they're going to learn from as they get older. And for even adults to adopt foster children, because there's a lot of foster kids that are unfortunate. I even have a friend that's a foster child, and he's very unfortunate. And one day I hope he could get adopted.
My goodness. By your reaction, I know you felt those words. And I can say to you, if your words had power, what would you do with it? If your words had power, how can you change someone else's life, your neighbors, your friends, your community? And if your words had power, do you think you can change laws? Do you think you can change policy? Do you think you can change those who have power to change somebody's life like that? How would you change? So keep dreaming about it while you're sitting here, because maybe you could go home today, tomorrow, start this week. I see some of you are wiping your tears away. That's because her word has power to move your heart. But don't just leave here with just moving right now. Your words have power. Your words have power for your community and for those that you see every day, because we all have a word, we all have a story to change. Your words have power.
That is amazing.
Oh, Belinda, if you had a word to change, what would you do? How can you change?
Well, it's hard to find such beautiful words like Kaylin you say, or you say, Mimi, but if my words could move hearts and minds, I will use them to inspire unity, to build bridges across divides, and to create a future where every person feels value, feels like it's being heard, and feels empowered. So for this second part of our program, ladies and gentlemen, as we come together to celebrate the strength and resilience in our stories, we want to open the floor to all of you. Just imagine for a moment if your voice had the power to change policies, to shift hearts, to open minds. What will those words say? What truth will you share? This is your opportunity. This is your moment. Your words can inspire, spark action, conversations, and create the change we need in our communities. So if you're ready, if you feel called to speak, I invite you to come to the microphone now. We should put a microphone right there, right? You're going to pass it? Oh, okay, good. So we invite you to find a microphone and let your voice be heard right now. And remember, the question is, if your words had the power to change minds, hearts, and policies, what will they say? Sorry. So, si mis palabras pudieran cambiar corazones y mentes, las usaría para inspirar unidad, para tender puentes entre las divisiones y crear un futuro donde cada persona se sienta valorada, escuchada y empoderada. So, los invitamos a celebrar la fuerza y la resiliencia en nuestras palabras. So, les pedimos ahora que vengan al micrófono y compartan en el idioma que quieran, en inglés, en creole, en Spanish. What will your words say? ¿Qué van a decir tus palabras? Y tenemos nuestro primer voluntario. We have our first volunteer. Yeah! Follow the example.
Hello, my name is Mark, and I'm going to say if my words had the power. If my words had the power, I'll make the world a better place so people can actually enjoy life and people can love life. If my words had the power, I would stop wars so people will stop dying and people will actually be here so they could see the sunset, go hang out at the beach, and have some fun. If my words had the power, homeless people will actually be in houses right now. If my words had the power, I'll have a lot of people right here who actually love life, who will appreciate that they're actually here and Allah actually made them.
Wow, wow, that was super well said. Amazing. Any other volunteer?
Okay. Hello, my name is Madison Nieves, and if my words had the power, I would want to stop depression so that people wouldn't feel useless or think about why they should not be here on earth.
Yes, go for it. Oh, not me. Oh, you're supposed to pass it, but you should say something too. What would your words say?
Hello. If my words had the power, I would promote kindness and I would want to promote second chances for everybody. Everyone deserves another chance and everyone deserves to be heard.
Yay!
That's it. Yay! Who else?
Oh, we have one over there. Sorry. Oh, go.
If my words had the power, they would inspire a mind of patience with yourself and with others, for everyone.
Yeah, patience. That is a really good word. Over here.
Hi. My words had the power. I would promote equality for everybody, to have the same dream that we all have, to have a piece of something to keep our families together.
That is so beautiful.
How about one of you guys? If your words had the power.
If my words had the power, I would ask that everybody do a better job listening to each other.
How about you? If your words had the power.
Hi, my name is Tamar. If my words had the power, I would make sure that everyone felt seen and heard, and that everyone felt loved and joy. If my words had the power.
If my words had the power, I'd give Erica Duncan another 100 years. If my words had the power, my son would listen when I tell him to do something. If my words had the power, it'd be like Jadakiss in another 24 hours. Peace. One more. If my words had the power, the old man gang would be young again. Peace.
If my words had the power, I would inspire people to be more compassionate towards one another. Choice of words is important. Be kind to one another.
That was so beautiful. Thank you, guys. Oh, wow, that was amazing. And thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I'm shocked my daughter even spoke up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tammy.
That is amazing.
That is. Okay. So now we are going to introduce Amber Dawkins. Her story. So her story behind bars, Junior Fellow, to read a piece that she wrote with the National Behind Bars Fellowship Program. Amber's piece, When Are You Coming Back? Amber's piece beautifully probed the question of what is what is a memory and what is a dream, as she retells the story of the loss of her father from the voice of a very young child, beginning a book-length project. Amber Dawkins.
Hi. Well, this is not a very familiar place, but I feel I have definitely been here before. or at least somewhere similar. My mother's small, second-hand golden Mercedes pulls up to an institution that looks like it might split into jaws down its middle and swallow us whole. The monstrous structure's middle is marked by an American flag at full mast. We ride through the gates, and suddenly we are inside with visitor tags on each of our shirts. My mother, brother, and I are in a room with white brick walls and round-edged cream-top tables. A man with deep, for lack of another word, chocolate skin and long, full salt and pepper locks sits across from us. My extended family had always referred to me as their perfectly chocolate baby. Just from looking at this man, I knew who I got it from. He greets my brother and me with a smile, and we commence the distant relative catch-up slide. Questions about school and extracurriculars and friends and love interests drool out of his mouth. Each answered, somehow my brother and I fill in the spaces. There is a break, and I finally release my first question. When are you coming back to be with us? Do you want to? These were my earliest questions. I recall them first directed towards my mother at some small age. She would answer after a few repeats of the question. You'll have to ask him. Her response halted my questioning in its totality for some strange reason. Perhaps it was a feeling of defeat, coupled with the irritation I recall in her tone when Mommy spoke those words. I had just been examining a handmade card sent from my father, probably for a birthday. It was so beautiful to me. The front holding a hand-drawn cartoon cat that gave me the warmest smile. All of the words were written in beautiful calligraphy. I wonder how much time it took him to make the card. It looked so carefully crafted. It wasn't too much work. You two are worth 1,000,000 times more. I should be doing more. The man replied in a strained expression. Did I ask out loud? I returned to the card. On the right side of the card's inside, there's a photograph of my father that seems to be black and white, possibly because the printer was out of colored ink. As I study the image, his hues slowly grow richer. His locks, the depth of his gaze, all slowly become more lively. I try to imagine where he is and study the wall behind him. Wherever he is, it does not look very homey. Those odd brick walls look cold. I am so cold. I reach my hand out and run my fingers over the grooves in the blocks of the wall. My trance is broken with the low and apprehensive, what father does not want to be with his children? He does not make eye contact with anyone but my mother for a moment. That holds a little too long. She has yet to actually say anything besides hello. I constantly check on her expression, but find myself with a multitude of possibilities of reasoning behind each slight expression. Mommy has never been shy of an expression. It is part of the reason she has to walk away from my grandparents whenever they try to dismiss her capabilities as an adult and mother. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amber. There is something that, what if your words had the power?
If my words had the power, I would say that money is not real, and it holds no power over you, and it does not measure your value as an individual. And this is my mom and my brother, who I speak about in the story. I would not be here without these two.
Mom, brother, what if your words had the power? What will they say?
If my words had the power, we would be free of taxes, and Obama would get another 8 years.
If my words had the power is to know we've always had the power. Never forget it.
Wow. Wow, that's a tall family in every way. In every way. Yes, please. I'm not as tall as them. Oh, yeah, I'm going to use this one. Sure one. Okay. Now it's my pleasure to return to Charais in his powerful piece, Introducing Myself. Charais is going to take us deep into his personal journey, sharing raw and vivid memories of his life, the struggles he faced, and the resilience he's found Through this reading, he invites us to see the world through his eyes, where moments of pain, loss, and survival are woven together with hope, self-reflection, and transformation. I think this is more than just a story. It's an introduction to his journey of healing and finding the strength. And I hope you feel the impact of his words as much as I do. La próxima pieza es más que una historia. Es una introducción al continuo viaje de sanación y fortaleza de el escritor, y espero que sientan el impacto de sus palabras tanto como lo he sentido yo.
About 3 days ago, I had a dream, laying under mama's bosom. She was protecting me from the thunder, held me tight under the covers. I'm talking about my mother, my source of light. All was right until I woke up in the middle of the night surrounded by bars and realized that I wasn't a child anymore, just a man who buried his creator years ago. I decided to turn over, hat down over eyes, and to my surprise, I recalled my homie's untimely demise. I seen the bullet in slow motion as it pierced through the air like it pierced through his chest, yoking his soul down the rest. I was thinking, this can't be. But I knew it was. It is what it is, and I am what I am, wounded, behind enemy lines. The war is my life. Creeping through the trenches, living amongst abused bodies, fighting time while time is shooting back with itself. More time. The bars are alive, strangling me while I'm in the cell alone at night. My tears burning, but the days ain't turning faster. I'm running cause master's after my blackness and history chapters. Accountable for my sins, even though I wasn't given the lessons of life. In my heart, I knew what was wrong wasn't right. I'm striving to live righteous, but see the demons in my past, they haunt me, so I fight this. Despite this, I write this. Life is a bullet and I bite this, embracing the struggle. Cowards dodging my words, attacking with muzzles. My grandfather's walking the tightrope, that's his lifeline, and I'm crying because he's dying. No shoulder to lean on because all my troops are wasted, and the world is getting colder, but I'm a soldier and I'ma make it. Shot fired, shot fired. My whole reality is composed of multiple casualties. Here comes pain again. It flames within. My grandfather standing strong, absorbing sharp shots from arthritis. While my little sister, she's running wrong, playing hard rock with blood riders. My cousin got an education now, bringing peace to my eyes, but she don't remember me. Her little girl just graduated. I think of her often, but they don't place me in her memories. This is why I'm writing myself, trying to enlighten myself. But it's hard when the last 13 years I was fighting myself. I wanted to kill myself, but just couldn't will myself. So I took a meditation, began to deal with myself. I'm beginning to heal myself. Listen to my excitement. I'm feeling myself. Once I finish preparing myself, then maybe I'll no longer be fearing myself. But as for right now, I'm still wobbling on shaky grounds. I'm still having dreams of that pound, the gun and the pot. They both made me block hot. They both made me pop tops. If it wasn't for prison, would I have stopped? And you still judge me? F you, I judge myself. I'm the one stopping myself. Shot fired, shot fired. What's your life like? Mine's is messed up. At least at times it seems. I challenged the Pope to sit up and view my dreams. As for my team, I grew up around ungrateful bastards. Some escaped their wake, while others got mashed out in caskets. Shot fired, shot fired. Dudes were aiming at me. After I got sentenced to football numbers, wifey started changing on me. Said she couldn't hang it with me. It messed me up, because when I was home, she used to bang it with me. Thug life, I repped it hard. She used to claim it with me. But now I see all she wanted was street fame and money. Shot fired, shot fired. I'm a hero on my block, because I ain't rat to the cops. But how can I glorify that shine when no one even tried to help me out this bind? It's like out of sight, out of mind. Sometimes I feel like I be losing my mind. I stay true to the hood. Still dudes never once looked out for my peoples when they could. Pray for me. Sometimes I feel the Lord is tired of saving me. Confusing myself. Yo, this is my first time introducing myself. I hope you're feeling me, because sometimes I have no use for myself.
My. Woo! And I'm supposed to follow Shama? Really? Oh my God. Thank you so much. It's not easy to stand here and share that. But my God, her story, you're doing it again. Oh my goodness. And now, it is our honor to introduce Judge Camacho, our hero in youth justice reform, whose vision has played a major part in our programming over the years, along with the young people he has inspired in finding new paths for Her Story's Linda Howard Weissman Youth Justice Program at Toro Law Center. Judge Camacho. I gotta leave the stage for these people.
Do you have it? Thank you. Yeah. Good afternoon. I am so inspired by all of you. I've been doing this for a very long time, and every day you guys show me something new, something better, something more inspiring. Thank you. Thank you all. I want to briefly, I wrote something, a brief piece, thinking about this forum and about how much these young people mean to me. I want to share it with you. It's called The Light Inside of Us. We're born with a light inside of us. The flame of grace, purity, innocence, and goodness shines brightly in our innermost being. It is our spirit, our soul. The world is cruel and unforgiving and causes great suffering. When children suffer, the light dims. To protect the flame, they build armor around it, a solid wall of bricks, mortar, and steel. Sadly, that barrier dims the light even more until it disappears. The eyes go dark, hollow, and dead. I have seen those dark eyes in too many of our children. Much too often, society labels those dark eyes as signs of meanness and evil. These are mean kids who will become evil people. We build man-made structures out of brick, mortar, and steel and place them behind those walls. Out of sight, out of mind, in the name of keeping our community safe. Relighting the flame requires patience, compassion, empathy, and love. Sharing our light with them, relying on our common humanity, we build trust and we make a connection. Chip away at the armor, one small piece at a time. Tragically, sometimes the light never comes back. The spirit withers and the soul dies. At such times, my own faith weakens.
thankfully, and more often, the wall begins to crumble, and we see a flicker of light, a spark that leads to a bonfire. Suddenly, the flame shines brightly once again. The eyes come alive. It is those moments that energize me, refresh me, motivate me, and cause me to rejoice in the power of the human spirit and in the light inside of us, which all these young people have.
Hello, everyone. My name is Milady Gonzalez, and I, along with Marcela, have had the honor to work with these students. And I just have to tell you that what Judge Camacho has done with these kids has been amazing. I've never met any judge in my life who has so much love and caring and compassion for these students, or not even students, they're like adults, young adults also. Thinking about the light within, I just wanted to let you know that working with them has been an incredible experience, because to see them come to the workshop and not saying one word for the first 3 weeks to get them to speak or even say if my words have the power was so hard. But after you hear them, you're going to say, wow. It's incredible. It is very touching. So we have 3 readers today. Actually, we have 4. And the first reader is Grant, who is not able to be here today. And we have Alex, who's going to be reading his piece. Alex.
Hello. My name is Alexander Cruz Reyes. I'm one of the youth advisors for Her Story. I'm going to be reading one of the pieces today for a student who wasn't able to make it. There was one thing I could say about him is behind that big, wide grin that he has, you never really know what someone's experienced. The names and location in the story have been changed for the privacy of the people and for their protection. The story is titled Summer Math Books. I was around 8 years old while I was doing my summer workbooks that my mom would get me to get myself ready for the next grade. I hated doing them at the time, but me looking back at it really helped me. It helped me get into the next grade. I don't remember the grade I was going into, but I was doing math and my pencil broke. When that happened, my first thought was to go see if Ashley, my sister, had a pencil for me to use. I looked inside her room. She wasn't in there. Looked inside my mom's and my stepfather Jalen's room, and no one was in there. And that was weird because he was supposed to be in there. So I started looking all around my house in Baldwin. Went to my stepsister Gianni's room. No one was in there. Looked inside the basement. No one was in there. Looked inside the living room, and no one was there. Now at this point, I started to freak out because where in the heck did Amber and Gianni go? And then I looked inside my oldest stepsister Katie's room, and there I saw him raping her. When he noticed that I opened the door, he looked back and slammed that door. And I was standing in the doorway because I was starstruck at what I saw.
Next up, we have a story written by Gianna, who couldn't be here with us today, so Hannah Solis will be reading it for her.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to be reading for Gianna Houston. This story is called Plant Bigger Flowers. Growing up, I felt alone, even though I had a loving family surrounding me. I remember when I felt sad, not knowing who to talk to about my feelings. Do I talk to my grandparents who are in the other room? Do I Skype call my mom in Florida? Do I call my other grandma so I can talk to her and my dad? I did talk to all of them, but it didn't help because I couldn't fully tell them how I feel. How do I tell my parents they're the reason I feel like this? I hated hurting other people's feelings, especially my parents, even though that's all they did. So I just kept everything to myself, which is what I did with everyone's feelings when they vent to me. My mom convinced me and everyone else that she was ready to be a mom again, so I moved in with her. Boy, did I regret that. I've never had to hide my feelings more than when I entered into 7th grade. At a semi-healthy friend group, I started to like school and talk to people about how I feel, even just a little bit. The 6th period bell rang. I got comfortable in class and started to relax and focus on my breathing. The phone rang in my class. They wanted me in the guidance office. My heart felt like what is beating out of my chest. My whole body was shaking with adrenaline. I got to the office unexpectedly fast. I started to walk to my counselor's room, but the secretary told me to stop. I was so confused. You're needed in the social worker's office, sweetheart. Social worker? I walked into her office. She smiled unsettlingly. I sat down and she introduced herself. Then she began to tell me that I was there because my friends were worried about me. What? Suddenly it made sense. The lights dimmed. My eyes were watering. My legs and arms felt dead and numb. I knew exactly why I was there, and so did she. She knew, I knew, what was going to happen, but I was hoping and praying I didn't know. Her words were muffled until I heard the dreaded words. Can you roll up your sleeves for me and flip your arms to your wrists? Who told on me? That was all I could think about. My blood was boiling. I slowly walked towards her and my sleeves rolled up, arms gushing blood and dripping on the floor. That was my blood. I couldn't blame it on anyone else. I begged her not to tell my mom, a fear what was going to happen when I got home. At least I had time, or so I thought. But sooner or later, I had to come face to face, toe with toe, with the front door. Hearing the footsteps of my mother coming down the stairs, I didn't even have to knock. The door skinned my nose, and all I could see was my mother's wrinkled forehead and her empty eyes. She smiled at me, gave me a hug, and then said, "You're really my mini-me." What the hell does that even mean? She wasn't mad. She was happy. For the first time ever, I seen my mother happy about something I did. She was proud of me. Finally, I started to crave the feeling of the sharp, cold metal blade ripping open my skin and watching my tan skin turn red. Every single day, feeling like this made me feel better. Knowing I had scars helped me fight a bigger battle than I could remember, which is putting a smile on my face so my friends and family could be happy. But no matter what, I could never make everyone happy at once. I thought it was my fault, and sometimes when I'm up late at night alone with my thoughts, I still feel like it's my fault. But as I wake up every morning in recovery, I remember the main reason why I had to cut myself open. It was to make other people feel better. It was because I never wanted anyone to feel alone like I did. So I took mine and everyone else's feelings, and I wrapped it into all one tiny little blade that made such a big difference. The hardest lesson I've had to learn and teach myself is if people want to plant thorn seedlings in the back of your head, grab the reeds by the root and plant bigger flowers in your own head before you have no more soil to plant them in.
Our next piece is by Damien Lawrence.
Hello, my name is Damien Lorenz. Today I'll be presenting a story called Why Can't I Listen? Why can't I listen? Why I constantly ask myself, why for all the problems I deal with? At a moment of the lowest version of myself, I stare at the ceiling on my bed where I ask myself, why don't I listen? And why I can't do what's simply asked of me? Looking down at my feet, then my hands, I start to think to myself. My mind's racing. My breath starts to get heavier. The thoughts in my head telling me, why? And you have no one, as I simply wish someone would just be there for me. Earlier, I had just come back from court, and I was told I had violated probation. I would be placed on house arrest. Coming back to the emotions I was feeling that night, I jumped out of my bed and heard a knock at the door. I went and opened the door, and 2 GPS probation officers were standing in front of me. They asked for Damian Lorenz. I told them that's me, and they said, "We're gonna need you to lift your pant leg up." As they put my ankle monitor on, I began to feel empty. Not because I'm sad I can't leave my house. I felt empty that day because all I can think about is where my life is heading. That night, my mind kept wandering, and in that moment, a switch flipped in me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Next up, we have Jalissa Villalta.
My name is Jalissa. When my parents got divorced, it was really hard for me. It was a new change, and I did not know how to cope with it. It made it difficult for me to focus on anything, and I lacked motivation. I struggled getting up for school, and I was not getting good grades in any of my classes. Eventually, it got to the point where the court had to get involved. Waiting a long period of time for my name to be called felt unnecessary because I could have prevented that by going to school. This made me realize that this is not how I want to live my life. Although I was going through a tough situation, I prayed to God to guide me through it all.
So I want to introduce Law and Chaos. Begin to plant a seed about how we can use some of those pieces we are hearing today. In the struggle for freedom and justice, a play by Shamar Sharice, read by participants from a community reentry consortium in conjunction with Hofstra University and Time Out of Joint Her Story Fellows. Please come up and share with us. I want to know his story.
Is everyone enjoying themselves so far? That's right, that's right. We love the energy. So yeah, this piece right here is called Law and Chaos, courtroom scene. This is my esteemed attorney. Got the prosecutor. Then we have our judge, all right? I hope you know I see you. Yeah, you. Sitting there hiding behind your preconceived thoughts about who you think I am, what I did, what I've become, how I started, perhaps how I will die, while never considering my life. Told me silence was the key, so zip it. Exact words were, I'll handle it.
Court is now in session. Calling case number C758942, the people of New York City versus the two-time convicted felon that's guilty before trial.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Jeremy Green. I will be defending my 76th client this morning off of 4 hours of sleep with the hopes that the court won't recommend more than a 10-year sentence for a crime that carries the maximum punishment of 2.
Good afternoon, Mr. Green. Will the prosecution care to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Mr. Jim Crow, representing the free city of New York. My office will show, without a shadow of a doubt, how the defendant, Mr. Guilty Before Trial, is dressed in dirty, wrinkled jeans, urban boots, and a hooded sweatshirt that was probably worn in an open case robbery. But that is not why we're here today, for this domestic dispute.
Objection!
And under what ground do you wish to object, Mr. Green?
Your Honor, the prosecution failed with intent to disclose my client's unwavering focus to equip himself and assist those of like minds with the necessary weaponry to fortify themselves against the bipartisan bitch we call liberty.
Objection sustained. Mr. Jim Crow, please proceed.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. The prosecution will expeditiously display how the defendant, Mr. Guilty Before Trial, chose to willingly ignore the set plan for him and those people cattled to the appropriate section of the ghetto. The laws of our forefathers were shredded when this defiant defendant, Mr. Guilty Before Trial, miraculously overcame the systemic oppression that was methodically woven into the unconscious minds of our fine tax-paying citizens.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Green?
The prosecution failed to expose my client's prior criminal activities, although they have absolutely nothing to do with the case at hand.
Sustained. Mr. Crow, please continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution will clearly lay out how the defendant, Mr. Guilty Before Trial, is accused of thinking on his own accord, blatantly undermining the rhetorical propaganda perpetuated throughout the school system, court system, the jail system. Your Honor, I would like to further highlight how the defendant, Mr. Guilty Before Trial, is a member of an underground think tank that has been bubbling with ambition to reach brilliant minds by way of Shakespearean sonnets and other literary jargon. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to seek the harshest punishment fit for the crime. The prosecution rests its case.
This is heating up, Mr. Green. Will the defense care for rebuttal?
Thank you, Your Honor. In light of my client's past unlawful acts of striving to awaken the sleeping minds of society's downtrodden, Mr. Guilty Before Trial has paid his dues by participating in black-on-black crime, alcohol consumption, as a minor, and frequently indulges in the use of marijuana, befogging his mental capabilities.
Objection!
Yes, Mr. Crow?
The defense is sugarcoating the defendant's actions.
Overruled. Please continue, Mr. Green.
As I was saying, the defense wishes to highlight without prejudice how my client, with not only participating in truancy, but had influenced many of his peers to also ditch the state's curriculum. Your Honor, my client is a troubled boy, trapped in a man's body, and for those said offenses, we humbly plead for mercy. The defense rests his case.
Your Honor,
State your name for the record, please.
guilty before trial.
You may proceed, Mr. Guilty.
Your Honor, I'm not ashamed that I grew up in a single-parent household raised by my mother. She played the role of my sister, father, and brother. And I am fully aware that the court is displeased about my mother graduating with honors, failing to fall victim to any degree of substance abuse. In fact, she is guilty of encouraging me to live a healthy, proactive lifestyle, guilty of loving and protecting me, shielding me from the woes of this world, guilty of being my friend, guilty of being my enemy. My mother was guilty of being a strong, positive, proactive woman who prepared my punctual, pragmatic mind to read the signs and endure the test of time.
Objection!
Overruled. Please continue, Mr. Guilty.
Your Honor, I never claimed to have all the answers. In fact, I stand my ground in stating that I hardly know anything when considering the vast amount of information life has to offer. But I will say this. I opened my eyes as an infant to the bars surrounding my crib, to the protection bars, guards on my windows, to the bars and cage of my projects where I lived, to the bars of squad cars taking me far, to the bars of prison cells, yards. Your Honor, I was destined to fail without prejudice. Overpacked classrooms, underpaid teachers, crack was sold in the library. My Whole Foods came at half-price discount stores.
discount prices equals discounted nutrition equals discounted fruition. Because my plan wasn't planning. My vision was cloudy. I was never clear about my options. It was a fad to be rowdy. I never knew how to conceptualize, then compartmentalize the inner rise to be a better guy. Still I rise from chains, whips, and slave ships. My identity was stolen, so I named myself, creating a perfect imperfection. Yes, I framed myself. Mr. Jim Crow, we the people do hereby recognize that we are not equal, that the status quo must go in order for us to show we glow. This is why I'm not grown, I grow. Mr. Green, whoever implemented into law that the ineffective assistance of counsel is grounds for termination should be admired. Sir, you are now fired. Thank you.
Now I want to see the movie. It will be really, really good. I really like it. Okay, now it's my honor to introduce Miss Milady Gonzalez, Mrs. Smith, and Miss Hannah Solis with the remarkable students of Wandage High School, a special elective called If Your Words Had the Power. This unique class, led by Miss Gonzalez, Miss Solis, and Miss Smith, has given the students the space to explore the true impact of their voices through creative writing, storytelling, and self-expression. These young writers have delved deep into the power of words, not used as tools for communication, but as instruments of change, resilience, and hope. With you, Wandage.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mrs. Jennifer Mignanelli, and if my words had the power to change hearts, minds, and policies, they would have every young person take this writing course in their high school classes. Yes, it's brought them a lot of confidence in themselves, in their own words, and I'm going to introduce our new students for this year. They've only been in class for 6 days, and they've already come really, really far. So our first student, Alejandro Betten.
Hello, everyone. If my words had the power to change hearts, minds, and policies, it would say that people should persevere and believe in themselves more. I want this change because there are so many little kids with big dreams, and most don't achieve them because they don't believe in themselves. Also, they need to persevere more because some have more challenges than the rest, but if you persevere and move forward, you can achieve the same dream/goal. One way I could solve this problem is to come up with videos. These videos will show and explain that not everyone was born the same. Some were born with challenges and yet they became successful. Also, come up with a program that is affordable for everyone, and the program will have steps to guide everyone and help them achieve their goals/dreams.
Yes, our students come with issues and with solutions. So our next speaker is going to be Edwin Santos.
Hello. If my words had the power to change hearts, minds, and policies, it would spread belief, since if people believed in themselves, they could achieve greater things that they could ever imagine, and lead to many people starting new businesses and starting a new life and career. Also, if my words could spread belief, it would change society as a whole, since people would start believing in their dreams and ideas, which will lead to amazing things to be created and many people to be happier in their lives. A way I could spread belief in people is by getting people who already achieve other people's dreams to spread words of belief, to encourage them that they can achieve their dreams and that their dreams are possible to achieve and that they can continue fighting for their dreams. Thank you.
And one of our co-teachers, Hannah Solis, is going to read Angelo Ortiz's writing.
If my words had the power to change hearts, minds, and policies, I envision a world where acceptance and understanding replace judgment and prejudice. A world where every individual, regardless of how they look, where they are from, or what they believe in, feels not just tolerated, but genuinely respected and valued. Too often, people are judged by superficial standards of their appearance, behavioral, or cultural background without anyone stopping to understand their stories or struggles. But what if we just paused? What if instead of rushing to conclusions, we choose compassion and curiosity? In this world, we celebrate our differences, recognizing that diversity is what makes us stronger. Each person's uniqueness is a thread in the fabric of humanity, and only by embracing these threads can we truly create a society where everyone belongs. This is the world where I hope for, a place where empathy is our first response and kindness is our shared language, a place where no one is judged for who they are and where everyone is given dignity and respect they deserve.
And our last speaker, and certainly not least, Temi Oluche.
I'll just put it. Thank you. If my words had the power to change hearts, mind, and politics, I would try to get everyone equal rights, not just with new laws, but I would continuously implement it into our society to help build healthy habits. I would make sure all homeless people have homes and always have food to eat. I would also have the rich people pay extra taxes and use half the money to build more schools, gyms, hospitals with better and cheaper health care, and grocery stores with affordable produce prices. I would then distribute the other half of the money between the poorer families of our nation, no matter what race, background, or social level. I would also make sure police officers go through rigorous training before becoming one. If they violate the codes they vowed upon even once, they will be demoted. I do not do 3 strikes you're out when it comes to justice, safety, and people's lives. The people of our community's lives and rights matter above all else. I find this topic a very essential one because cops are a vital part of our community. We cannot afford cops going rogue or dirty cops. And I do not tolerate excuses, nor would I let anyone in our police department think they could be let off the hook by simply having connections or, quite frankly, being whites. I would also make sure the youth of our society know that there's always a choice. You don't have to change yourselves or do something you're not completely comfortable with. The children of our society are the future of our nation. Not only have depression rates gone up, but so has suicide rates. That is unacceptable, and I hope more events and workshops could be held to better help the youth of our society come out, express themselves, and be more confident. Though I know it would be hard, because if there's one thing my generation hates, it's opening up to adults, in any way or form. But we must try some way, somehow. If my words held this much power, I would abolish the laws against abortion. Since a young age, I grew to learn that there are things that our society just deemed common sense. A child starts crawling before walking, common sense. We all go through school to gain an education, common sense. Any person has a right to do whatever with or to their body, common sense. At least that's what I thought. You can imagine the outrage I felt when I found out this was not the case. That women in certain countries have now officially lost their human rights to do what they like with their own bodies. That we are forced to birth another living being into this world that we did not plan for just because a man said so. We as a society have failed. How dare we try and force the women of our nation to do such a thing? I understand that it is not the child's fault to be born in such circumstances, but you cannot tell me that a child that cannot speak, think, feel, or have the required intelligence to even know what the words mother or abortion means is more important than the life of the woman who has already lived and still has their whole life ahead of them, especially the so-called mothers that they themselves are still considered children. Absolutely not. If my words had the power, I would make sure that the rules and laws that have been placed that undermine and restrict our human rights, the very same human rights that America has fought so hard for, are abolished.
Our future leaders.
Wow, these students are amazing, and that's because they have amazing facilitators and teachers as well. Hi, Miss Mix, I miss you. Okay, so you saw how these students' stories reflected their personal journeys and the world around them, showing how their words can shape hearts, influence minds, and inspire action. And you saw how their bold and meaningful pieces remind us of the power of empowering the next generation to speak their truth. And our next story, by the way, Mimi, also speak about the power of our new generation's voices.
I am so inspired when you hear these young voices. I saw organizers, I saw presidents, I think I heard a police commissioner. So it is awesome to hear them. And so, grita tu nombre.
Yeah, you say it really well. Grita tu nombre. Yeah.
Gracias. Uh, featured reading by Marcela Contreras, beloved workshop felicitator for her story, who started 10 years ago when she was a sophomore in high school. This piece will be leading into our call to action, in which we will think together with the whole audience about how these stories can be used to bring change and justice to our world. So there will be a call to action. You will be able to participate, but we are moving on with
Marcela. Grita tu nombre, Marcela.
Yay.
I grew up listening to the stories, hushed whispers of tabooed names and retellings of the pain and suffering of my people. Although the words themselves were horrific, the moments of silence between them were worse. The look in my mother's eyes and the quiver on my grandmother's lips said all that they couldn't. I grew up with these stories, only they weren't really just stories. They were warnings. There are a few things I remember vividly about my grandmother before her cancer began to claim her life. One of the most prevalent memories being her fear. 15 years after the dictatorship ended, she still couldn't utter the name of our beloved fallen president, Salvador Allende, whose name had been prohibited by Pinochet after he had forcibly taken Chile under his control. "We are in the States now, Mama," my mother would tell her. "We can say his name here. No one can hurt you now." One look at my grandmother, wringing her age-spotted hands together, and her glassy eyes let us know that she was unconvinced. She was entirely inhibited by the fear that was badgered into her. This is the same fear my mother feels when looking at figures of authority. No matter what country or how many years after the fact, she could never trust anyone again. Not after seeing her home being ripped apart by soldiers in the middle of the night, claiming to be looking for weapons, when in reality they were looking for any clue of opposition. These clues could be a book, a picture, a vinyl. When I was young, these stories seemed incomprehensible. I bragged to friends at school about how badass my mom was because fear wasn't enough to stop her 15-year-old self from yelling out her teachers' names so that someone would remember them, so that someone would know they existed and know they were being tortured. It was 2019, and Chile had gone back to 1973, except this time we had video proof. "I already saw things like this growing up," my dad said when I showed him. "The problem now is knowing what's true and what's not. But I don't need to see fear with my own eyes to know it's real. I have proof of it at the tips of my fingers." "Your cousin wants to move to Germany," my aunt told me. "The government put a law into place that took away his school major. History and civics aren't required to be taught in schools anymore." History wasn't being taught anymore. Minimum wage was too low, rent was too high, retirement became unreachable and unaffordable. Stories of people dying in waiting rooms due to their lack of insurance and funds to cover the cost of their treatments. It had all become too much for Chile's youth, so they took to the streets. And when the first protest broke out in the subway, the military opened fire with rubber bullets. Watching the angry youth of Chile protesting alongside their tired parents and grandparents reminded me that our call for justice runs deep in our blood. Grita tu nombre. That's the advice Chile's citizens are giving each other. Yell out your name if they stop you, because they have enough experience with people being arrested and then never being seen again. There's still no set number on how many people disappeared in the 70s, only that it's more than 1,500. But any Chilean that lived during that time will tell you it's way more than that. So yell out your name so that someone knows you're gone, so that someone knows you existed. I don't care if I die, I've seen them post. I won't let this happen to my country again. I would join them if I could, my mother said, as we watch videos of 1.5 million people marching, hitting their wooden spoons against their pots and pans, waving their flags with the words, "We are not at war," written on them. Blue for the skies, white for the Andes, and red for the blood spilled in the fight for freedom, the blood that continues to spill. Taking to the streets with guitars, singing songs by Victor Jara, an activist, musician, and professor who was tortured and killed in the first dictatorship. As the crowd joined in on the song, El derecho de vivir en paz, the right to live in peace, my throat tightened. It was like a siren song calling to our blood. We learn history so we won't repeat the same mistakes. At least that's what they say. What becomes of a country that doesn't value history anymore, where the silencing of our stories and our experiences is taking place? I recognize these signs. I worry for our future. I'm eternally grateful to my parents for telling me their stories, for teaching me about the history of our roots, for teaching me that stories are important, that they should never be forgotten, for passing down our siren song for justice. Our story began with hushed whispers in the night, with hidden vinyls and books underneath floorboards, and my story continues now before you. Thank you.
Wow. I think, oh my God. Let me summarize this story in Spanish. Marcela ha reflexionado en la historia que acaba de escuchar sobre cómo creció rodeada de historias de dolor, miedo y represión, que su madre y su abuela, ambas sobrevivientes de la dictadura en Chile, le contaban. Todo a pesar de haber huido a los Estados Unidos. El miedo a mencionar el nombre de Salvador Allende, el presidente caído, seguía muy presente en su familia. El temor de la abuela, formado por años de opresión, y el trauma de la madre, que vio a sus profesores ser torturados y desaparecer, dejaron una huella profunda en ella. Hoy en día, la frase "grita tu nombre" en Chile se usa como una forma de resistencia para asegurarse que las personas sean reconocidas en medio de protestas y desapariciones. El narrador siente una conexión poderosa con esas protestas. La lucha por la justicia. Marcela expresa gratitud hacia sus padres por haberle transmitido sus historias y enseñarle lo importante que es recordar la historia para que no se repita, para que no vuelvan a ocurrir los mismos errores. Ahora, la historia de Marcela sigue haciéndonos un llamado a que más personas se unan a la lucha por la justicia y no dejen que sus historias, que sus voces sean silenciadas.
And now I'll try to summarize this in Creole. Marcela a parlé de maman, papa, le grand-mère qui était en Chili. Là, il était pendant la soirée, il a parlé bien bas pour la bataille, injustice en Chili. Maman, la papa, le grand-père, la famille, expliquer l'histoire ça yo. Et lorsqu'on a une histoire, ou pas jamais oublier, l'on continuer avec la vie. Marcela dit comme ça que li remercier parents li, famille li qui bal histoire ça yo. Parce que qu'on y a histoire yo a effacé et sou pas connaît ça qu'a fait, ça que t'es fait dans l'histoire, ou pas comprendre qui gens pour passer ça qu'a fait kounye. So li remercier famille. Li reconnaître kounye. Ça qu'a passé yo, c'est histoire qui t'est faite déjà. So jodi a li connaît que ou pas supposé faire silence. Et gon bagay que li te dit qui très important. Li dit que lors un problème, l'œil a vinn prendre, dis non, parlez fort pour yo qu'attendre. Parce que si personne pas connaît ça ou ap di a, ou pas cap sauver, ou pas ka aider l'autre monde. So moi reconnaître jodi a, ça qu'a fait jodi a parce que t'es gon histoire qui te bail longtemps. Merci Marcella.
That sounded very beautiful.
You started mucho gusto.
Okay, now it's time for you to chime again. How these stories that you heard today, how do you think they can provoke change in our communities? If you want to participate, we invite you again to the microphone and to talk about what you felt today listening to these stories and how you think they can help.
Introduce Erica.
I think that's after that.
Oh. Yeah, I think it's
Volunteers.
And Erica.
Erica's
Introduce
coming?
Erica.
Okay.
Yes. Let's introduce her.
Okay. So you know what? We're gonna call the founder to help us out. We are honored to introduce Erica Duncan.
Erica.
She's the executive and creative director of the Her Story Writers Network. Erica has been a tireless advocate for elevating voices that might otherwise remain unheard. Erica was already pioneering innovative ways to teach writing, guided by her belief that everyone has a story worth telling. So,
Erica, hold on. Erica,
let's see. Come down, maybe. But all the Her Story facilitators, please come join me. And you have participated in what we've been doing for almost 30 years, really, asking if your words have the power to change a heart, a mind, a policy. What would we want them to say? And I say this every year, but you can argue with a political position. You can argue with a moral position, but you really can't argue with the story. You can't argue with somebody's heart. And what I'm hoping, each Freedom Forum has evolved into some plan of action. And you've heard from the fellows of last year who are part of social workers at the forefront. Change is coming for Wyandanch. You've heard young students. You've heard children. You've heard formerly incarcerated teachers. You've heard youth of the court. You've heard our beautiful Judge Camacho. So what would you like? The first year, people heard the stories of young people who crossed the border by themselves. And they said, you know what? We need a book. And it was 3 months later, a book, Brave Journeys, was born. 15 children who crossed the border alone. And then there were 10,000 copies sold. It's in schools everywhere, in Spanish and English. We're still teaching. What would you like to come out of today? And I'm just going to pass the mic to other people to ask their start. Let's see. Maybe
who wants the mic?
Okay. Who wants? Okay.
Well, actually, if you want me to. Yes. I was thinking this morning about the call to action. So over my coffee, I wrote a very brief piece. One of the founding principles of her story is addressing the cracks in the Liberty Bell. One such crack is how our communities treat young people whose suffering has caused the light inside of them to dim. How do we fix this crack? It is indeed a daunting task. The Her Story methodology gives us one answer: writing. Writing down our experiences, good and bad, our doubts, our mistakes, our concerns, all that has caused us pain, leads us to self-reflection. It gives us comfort, eases our suffering, and leads to self-healing. Then, once we begin to confront our own inner turmoil, we become empowered and share our stories with others. The power of our stories change hearts and minds. It is the cement that begins to repair the cracks in the Liberty Bell. All of you, young people especially, find those among us who are unable to speak for themselves, the marginalized, the mistreated, the forgotten, the abandoned, and the betrayed. Be their voice. Then help empower them to find their own voice. Finally, encourage them to use their own voices to help others. This never-ending cycle of love, compassion, and humanity is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Be a voice for change.
Okay. I have a volunteer over there. It's you. If you're a volunteer, I'm gonna volunteer you, okay?
Wow, it's a little different being up here than back there. But my name is Jeremy. I'm very humbled to be here and to listen to these beautiful stories. And I can't speak on how they are going to change the community because I know they're going to, but I can tell you how they changed me individually in these last few hours. I'm very moved, and really, I don't think it's a case of if words have the power. It's a case of when will we use these words, because words have life, they have meaning. And I'm very moved. And I guess this really helps me bring the question of how will I use my words, whether that's to speak to marginalized communities, to help tell my story. Maybe I feel like my story doesn't really add much, but hearing some of the stories I can relate, and now I can think, okay, well, I have something to share. So I can't wait, hopefully not this event, but another event to share that with you guys. So thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
I wanted to say, if my words had a power to change lives, I'd advise everybody to always be respectful and nice, no matter if you know the person or not, but always be willing to ask someone how their day is and listen to them, because everybody has words that they may not want to say, but they really are just hurting inside or not comfortable speaking up to people. So always be nice to people, because you don't know what that person is going through, and you don't know if that's their last day on this earth. Thank you.
I hope everyone, actually, I'm happy that the young man that spoke before me spoke, because I was thinking about him with what I was going to say. I hope that the voices, especially of the youth, was heard from his story, saying his challenging and his inner battle with why can't he listen. So when you hear youth speak, that they do have those battles, and just be kinder to the young people, especially teenagers. They're hard. I used to be a high school teacher, but I hope that people listened to the young lady that spoke about being in foster care. I hope that opened the heart and open the eyes of people who are loving, that can take in children in the foster care system and adopt them, especially older children, because oftentimes they are not adopted. And so I really hope that the words that the young people said was heard, because young people are one of the most oppressed groups of people, and oftentimes there isn't platforms for them to speak. So I really hope that people really took in the words that they said.
Look at me, I have 2 microphones. You want one?
There's a old African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. 1, 2, 3. Those are mine. That's my wife, and we can't raise them alone. It's impossible, because we can't always have eyes on them. Like you can't always have eyes on your children. So who's watching them? If you watch mine, I watch yours. And if you watch mine, I watch yours. And if you watch mine, I watch yours. Now we have a village raising our children. Now we're securing our future. The young man that just sat down with the white hat, I forget your name, beloved. Damien. First of all, I enjoy listening to every single one of you. You know, when I listen to you, I think about my children, and it's something I frequently do to them. I say, is daddy being a good dad? I asked them. Oh, and then you get an answer. I asked them because us as adults, sometimes we become rigid and set in our ways, and we think we have it all figured out. I'm the adult. I'm the parent. I know what my kid wants. That's my child. I bring them this world. I take care of them. But we're not always correct. Sometimes they know what you need to do or what we need to do. And the only way we can find out what's going on there, ever so clever and sane mind, is ask them. So I ask my children, if daddy gets out of pocket and I check you too hard, I admonish you too much, when I calm down, say, hey, dad, you know, that punishment of 120 years in my room is too much. Holler at me. And I say, oh, well, no, you're right. Time for parole. And I get it. And I understand that I'm not infallible. I make mistakes. And sometimes they see it. Only way for us as adults to help the youth is to allow the youth to teach us how to help them. Just ask them and listen. Because a lot of times the reason they're not seen is because we don't see them. We hear them there. We know they're in the house. We know they're around the corner. We know they're breaking something or running up a bill. But we don't really see them. If we saw them, we'll understand a lot of things. That connection between our youth and our home, we can't have by ourselves. We need one another. We need that family bond, that village. It's okay for you to have a bad day. But if you have a bad day and you meet somebody else with a bad day, guess what? That's a problem. You're going to bump heads. So sometimes, like Amber said, you have to have patience. You have to say, you know what? I was wrong. I apologize. It doesn't make you less than a man or a woman. It makes you a growing human. A person who's just trying to learn more. A person who wants to live and wants to be free. Right? And if we want it for ourselves and for our youth, we have to help one another. But we have to allow one another to help one another. No, I'm not going to pry in your business and say, hey, man, what are you doing to that kid? But it's okay for me to say, hey, how you doing? You having a good day? Nah, it's a little rough. Here's a suggestion. Sometimes that works. Just kindness and giving suggestions, helping one another. You see somebody trying to make it light, we don't know their situation. Maybe they forgot to pick up their kid. It's a fire at the daycare. That's why they rushing. That's why they weaving between the lanes. So instead of being the person to say, oh, you ain't getting through, I'll fall back and let them go. That's what I do. If I see you in a rush that bad, I just let them go without being confrontational. I'm just trying to think of things that can make us be a better us. Because like I said, I'm not the perfect dad and I'm not the perfect growing man. So I ask my family and I ask the community, help me. If my kids are doing something wrong and they're at the bathroom making a mess, come check them. Excuse me, you know better than that. I'm going to go tell your father. That's what you should be. That's what it used to happen when I was a kid. They used to pull my coat on that. They used to be able to do that, but now we can't. All I'm saying is just care a little bit more, have a little more patience, and a little more love for one another.
I remember the first Freedom Forum here in Wyandanch, and one of the teachers said, "But where are the young people?" And that was the call to action. And as I listened to all of you saying, now it's time, now we are listening to the young people, I feel we're fulfilling that call for action. So, anyone else before we close?
So this call to action is for everyone here. When you go back to your community, tell your school, your daycare, your civic groups, everywhere you hang out with others about her story and how we have a platform for those people who are not seen to come and join us. Because we live right now in a society where we are forgetting about each other, and we are open to share with each other. Our writing circles, we have one that's going to start in Elmont. So that's great. So let's tell our schools, because we have so many newcomers, so many new people that have arrived, so many young kids that have arrived in this country. Wouldn't it be great if you all left here and say, hey, let's tell our stories together? So I hope that we take that back with us to our communities.
Yeah, Joe did.
Quickly. Hi, everyone. I'm Joe. I'm a board member of Her Story. I love this organization so much, and I really felt a lot of the stories, so I'll be thinking about them. I just want to say the call to action for me is to be non-judgmental. I work in a field where we help people get off the street, and that's one of the first things that we always tell people is just to be non-judgmental and to be a good listener, and to put our phones down so we can really see and pay attention to one another. But I want to ask you to put your phones back up for a second and follow us on social media. You'll find us on Twitter. We're Her Story Writers Network, and there are little underscores between them. So it's Her Story _Writers _Network on Twitter. Check us out. We have really good content. We're on Instagram at Her Story Writers, and we're also on Facebook. And you can find us on YouTube as well. So I had to plug us on social media. Get your phones out, follow us, give us a shout out. And thanks for being here, y'all.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, so this was really, really beautiful. We'll be around for a bit, so if anyone wants to talk more informally, take a look at our books, and just thank you. Thank you for the soul and the spirit and the heart. I think that if there's one thing we really heard today, it was people were not speaking with their sort of minds. They were speaking with their spirits and hearts and souls. And I think that if there is hope in this very troubled time, it is that, as everyone said, if we all listen with the depths of who we are and our hearts and extend it to each other. So thank you.